Hi you guys, I finally got my headlights for my GMC, and these are some Halo lights, I guess they're called. And these are the low budget price range. There's some really nice ones out there that are really expensive. But this is one was within my budget. I'll give you the serial numbers and stuff of this. I think I paid like $125, $130, somewhere in there for these, probably less. Anyway, so let's let's open it up, see what we got. Came pretty fast. It came in about a week. It said it came with instructions. So we got this little pamphlet here. Looks like some instructions. Anyway, that's that. Let's see what it looks like here. It's got this styrofoam bag. See the light now. This first one. This would be the passenger side. You can see what the side marker light looks like. It looks like these are clipped in. You know, what happens is these things leak all the time, so I may have to seal it in here with something. So no moisture and all that clogs it up. You know how it gets. I've seen guys use silicone, but I'm not too sure if I'm going to use that or not. Maybe some tape of some sort. Anyway, so that's what the light looks like on the passenger side. The wiring. So I guess these are for the lights, and these are for the halos. No, I guess so these are for the halos, and these are for these little 3 lights here. I think it goes this way. Anyway, we'll figure it out. So the next one is this one. Now I noticed they did give me a bulb here. If you can see, I've got a bulb here. I guess maybe you have to put your own on this one here. There's a little piece of paper here on this one. So you got a bulb here, and anyway, we'll figure that one out later. And here's the other. So this should be pretty simple to install. I'm assuming it goes like this, because I believe these lower lights are on the bottom. I think they go like that. Okay. Anyway, you'll be seeing a list of the tools that I used, and it shouldn't be that hard to hook up, so I'll show you exactly what to do. So let's get to work. Okay, this is what my headlights currently look like. The one on the left is real foggy, and when I drive down the road, it's pointed up to the sky. As I drive down the road, everybody thinks I'm trying to look for tree monkeys. And the one on the right is clearer, but both of them you can't adjust. The one on the right is barely hanging on. Anyway, let's pop the hood, and if you want, you can go ahead and disconnect your battery. Now we're going to work on the light on the driver's side. You're going to have 2 metal posts. You're going to turn one counterclockwise and the other one clockwise. Once you give them a quarter of a turn, just pull up to release. Set these aside. Now we can move the light forward to access the plugs. Now we're going to remove this bulb. All you got to do is twist it off. Next, we're going to remove this plug here. Just take your screwdriver and unclip it. Now if you notice, this plug is wired into the headlamp. We need to remove this wire harness from the lens. Now you're going to take your small crescent and remove these two screws. It's part of your lens adjustment system. Now we need to lower it down to break it loose. What I did is I took my screw gun and chucked it up to the adjustment screw and drilled it until it lowered down and broke loose. Once you got it loose, go ahead and fish out the wire harness. Now take this wiring harness and plug it into the light bulb that they gave you. What I noticed is they supplied a different bulb. It doesn't want to fit in there because if you look at the wire harness, it has two grooves. The bulb they supplied only requires one groove, so it won't allow the wire harness to go in. So the way I remedied this is I just used my old bulb. Now we're going to remove this cover that's taped on here so we can get our bulb in there. Make sure it's clean and try not to get any paper in the lens. You're going to have a heck of a time trying to get it out. Now let's plug the plugs in. And put the light bulb in. Once you have it in, let's go ahead and install the lens into the body. What I want to do, now you don't necessarily have to do this, I want to make sure that the headlights work and I don't have any problems there. Plus, I want to make sure that the headlights are pointed correctly. So what I'm going to do is wait till nighttime and adjust my lights if need be. The reason why I'm doing it like this is I don't want too many things going on. If I have a problem right now, I know what I've done so far and I can fix it and adjust whatever I need to adjust. Once I know everything's working good, then I'll go ahead and connect the halo lights. I don't know if I like this gap here. Looks like it's going to take some adjusting. Okay, while adjusting these headlights, you're going to take a tape measure and you're going to measure from the ground to the center of your headlight. Looks like I'm about from the ground 38 inches to the center of my light. Now I'm going to go to my garage door and mark it. I'm going to measure 38 inches. Next, I'm going to park my Yukon 25 feet away from my garage door and do the adjusting. I'm not going to get into how to adjust your lights. There's a lot of YouTubes on it, but basically that's how you do it. Here's a couple of diagrams that will help you. Okay, once you've got all your adjusting done on your headlight, now it's time to connect your halos and your little 3 LED lights. Now I know this looks a little intimidating with all these wires here. And this is where I want to say 98% of the YouTube videos out there don't show you how to connect this. A lot of YouTube videos at this point say, find and figure out and connect it to your turn signal lights. Well, if you're just like me, you think, well, what the heck does that mean? What do I do? When you receive your headlights, the instructions they give you to show you how to install the lights in your vehicle are worthless. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do, and I'm going to use a diagram to show you. Believe it or not, this is so simple to do. Trust me, you can do this. All I ask is if you could do this for me, please. Like and subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Oh, and don't forget to ring the bell. And don't forget to check out my new playlist. It'll show you all the electrical and light bulbs, anything that has to do with electrical on your GMC. Just click above on the right-hand corner. Okay, let's get back to work. Okay, the first thing we want to do is we want to locate the parking lights or courtesy lights. And in order to do that, we need to remove the headlight. Once you have the headlight removed, we want to disconnect the turn signal assembly. And we're going to do that by going to the right side. You're going to see a plastic clip. You're going to take your screwdriver and apply some pressure and take your hand and move the light outward on the right side only. The left side just gets plugged in. You'll see here in a second. Go ahead and move the light outward, but you don't have to disconnect anything yet. Next, you're going to see 3 lights. You're going to remove the center light. That's your parking and turn signal bulb. As you can see, you have 3 wires going into this bulb. On the left side, you have a blue, the middle is a brown wire, and the right is a black wire. If you go in your vehicle and turn your parking lights on, you'll see the bulb goes on. But if you turn your key on and turn on your left turn signal, you'll see that same bulb flash. Now this is the part that nobody shows you on other YouTube videos. Which wires do you connect to? I'm going to show you which wires to connect to. Now if you have an amp meter or a continuity tester, you could probably figure this out. But here's an electrical schematic that'll tell us which wires we want to use. If you notice the red arrow, it says park turn lamp right front. That's what we're looking for. Now if you notice this racetrack line, that represents the bulb. And if you notice on the left side, it says park with that little squiggly line inside, that's the filament. And on the right side, it says turn. That's the filament for the right turn signal. It's the wire that makes the bulb flash. Now if you notice, you have 3 black lines going around that racetrack. These lines represent the wires going into the plug. The one on the bottom says black. The one on the right says blue. And if you notice, the one on the left says brown. So we're looking for the wires that turn the parking light on, and that would be the black and brown wires. Those are the ones we're looking for. Pretty simple, huh? Now at this point we want to splice into those 2 wires. Now there's a bunch of conventional ways to splice into this wire. You can use a utility knife, you can use wire splicers, but if you're like me and fix your cars, you definitely want one of these splicers. You can find them on Harbor Freight, Amazon, and eBay for about anywhere from $7 to $15. Trust me, they're well worth it. I'll show you here in a second. If you've never seen these wire strippers before, you can see how great they work. It cuts and pulls the plastic coating off at the same time. Isn't that cool? But let me show you the real reason why I bought these. They can also splice in the middle of the wire, like so. Isn't that awesome? That's why I got these pliers. As you can see, I already spliced the 2 wires. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you can use a quick splice connector. Let me tell you right now, never use these. I'm not saying they don't work, but I'm saying they'll work for a while. As time goes on, you'll have a problem and you won't know where the problem is. You'll have a heck of a time trying to figure out where the problem is. But if you solder the wires together, it's much better to solder the wires together. You'll have less chance of a problem in the future. You'll know you've done it right. Okay, now I cut 2 pieces about 10 inches long of 14 gauge wire. One red, one black. The red I'm using on the hot side, which is the brown wire. I'm going to wrap the wire around our splice that we made. Wrap it nice and tight. Now I'm going to splice into the black wire, which is our ground. Once I've got it spliced, I'm going to take the black wire, splice it, and I'm going to wrap it around the ground wire. As you can see, this is pretty easy to do if you have the right tool. Okay, now we're ready to solder. At this point, I assume you know how to solder. If you don't, get a couple of wires and practice on it. The key is to get enough solder in there so you make good contact so it won't break in the future. As you can tell by the electrical work here that I'm doing, I'm not a professional. I'm sure there's a bunch of guys out there pulling their hair out telling me I'm doing it wrong. But for me, this works. You don't have to get real fancy with this. Now that we have applied our solder, I'm going to take some black electrical tape and wrap both wires really good. Again, you don't have to get too fancy, just make sure it's sealed up really good. Once you have them taped up really good, go ahead and plug in your light back into your turn signal assembly. Now we're going to snap back in the turn signal assembly. We're going to stick it in on the left side first. And then on the right side, we're going to take our flat screwdriver and snap it back into place as shown. Okay, now as you can see, we have the red wire coming out of the turn signal and the black wire coming out of the turn signal that we worked on. What you're going to do is you're going to take the black wire that we soldered. We're going to take that black wire and we're going to take all the black wires that are in the headlight, and we're going to take a wire nut and we're going to connect all the black wires together. And now from the headlight, we're going to get all the red and white wires, and we're going to put those together, and we're going to connect it to our red wire that we soldered. We're going to connect all those together. You're going to use wire nuts to put them together, and you're going to wrap them with black electrical tape as shown. And that's it. At this point, you want to turn your headlights on to double check everything's working correctly. Now you can go ahead and put your headlight in place. Now that we're done with the driver's side, do the same thing for the passenger side. I'm really happy I got these, and they were within my budget. There's a couple of things I didn't like about these lights. Number one, the instructions were little to none. And for me, the fact that you have to take the headlight off to adjust the lights was kind of a bummer. But I got it done. Anyway, I hope you like the detail that I put into showing you guys how to connect these lights. It took a lot of time to do this video, but I wanted to make sure that you guys understood how easy it is to connect these. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was very informative. Please check out my other how-to videos. Oh, and check out my new website. There's new items being put in there every day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, hit the bell. Until then, we'll see you at my next video. Bye!